so happy that their position was, we're working on the demo right now, and that's the only thing that we want to talk about. Because at the end of...
I agree with you. Mwah. Welcome, acolytes. Today I'm reacting to Black Myth Wukong is a threat from Legendary Drops. And I'm gonna start a bit differently. If you like my content, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, notification button. Show me and Legendary Drops some love. You know, this one, good. The shenanigans are behind us. But what is Black Wukong? Who is Legendary Drops? Legendary Drops is actually a creator that I quite like. He's always in a objective, neutral stance on a lot of things, or he inserts his own opinion to it, but I tend to agree with his, so of course I'm gonna like it to a certain degree. And Black Wukong is actually, I think it's just a nice clickbaity title, so people click on it because duh, of course. But in the end, I don't even think, if you wanna know what, I am actually quite hyped for this game, for Black Wukong. Because I hear a lot of good stuff and not so much bad stuff, at least not from people that actually know what the F they are actually talking about. So yeah, I am quite happy to hear what Black Wukong may do, or what it will be, and what kind of thing comes out. If he truly thinks that Black Wukong will be a negative, I don't think so, but let's just hear him out.
Wukong is one of the most anticipated games of this year. If you're anything like me, you're looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm a big Souls fan to begin with, so I can't wait.
Oh, dude, I feel you. Yes. And Black Wukong would be a Souls-like. So, okay, already like it. And I understand, brother. I understand. I also love this. I also love, like, Souls games. Always good.
To get my hands on it. But with that said, it's also been a game that's had a lot of hit pieces ran on it ever since the game's review.
Yep.
Just recently, I ended up reading an article from The Guardian where they're going in and talking and parroting the same points that I've seen many other journalists say, and trying to paint the game in a bad picture, specifically trying to send the message that,
Yep.
you know, hey, yeah, it looks like a good game, but, you know, the developer doesn't say very nice things, and we probably shouldn't support them.
Yeah, and honestly, it's the exact opposite, because the developers, they stay freaking professional. They don't lash out. They don't do stuff. They are just professional. And that's why I actually like it. Because there is no, well, because this and this, because, yeah, insert this people and this, and no, there's just, like, F off, we're doing a game, and we're gonna start doing it as we want. And this is so beautiful, especially because the developers actually said to Sweet Baby Inc., F you, F off, we're doing our thing. And that's good, thumbs up, show Black Wukong some love. If you can afford it, please buy it, or I would say, no. I don't want to say pre-order it, because I don't like pre-orders. And specifically in this case, just because they are freaking dreist as fuck. So I like it, I really like it. But at the end, if you cannot afford it, of course, don't buy it. But if you can, and the game comes out, and it's good, then please support it. Then yes.
So today what I want to do is I want to talk about the media's obsession with Black Myth Wukong, but more than anything, I want to talk about why they're obsessed. If you haven't heard,
Because they don't give a fuck.
Black Myth Wukong is blowing up before its release. The game is already the most wishlisted game on Steam, and just the other day, the benchmark tool brought in over 85,000 players at its peak. An optimization testing tool brought in more players, 40 times the amount of players.
Oh my F. Optimization testing tool. Yeah, I actually did that one. Yeah. True, yeah.
Is so
I was one of those. Yep. And I'm happy about it.
Sony's open beta of Concord. Low blow, I know, but it'll become a little bit more relevant later on. With that said, Black Myth Wukong's developer Game Science likely has a breakout hit on their hands, and this is their debut title. But there are those that are out there that want to try and stand in its way.
Yep.
Just a couple weeks ago, Tom Regan of
Jealousy, by the way. Pure jealousy. Because they cannot, for the lives of them, can even do half of this good of a job than they can. And they rather pull someone down to their little dirt big of a freaking world than actually be like, okay, I'm gonna get better. I can do it. I can do better. No, shit on those who actually do it better. That's the way.
The Guardian wrote an article titled Black Myth Wukong, the summer's most exciting and most controversial video game. This beautiful looking action game is based on Journey to the West, the great Chinese novel, but its own journey to release has hit a bump in the road. Tom writes, after playing Wukong for an hour and a half in a London hotel suite, watched nervously by game science employees,
this looks so good. I don't even know what's happening. And I already love it.
I can confirm that, somewhat miraculously, this stunning Chinese mythological twist on Dark Souls delivers on that showy trailer. Marrying fluid-feeling combat and reflex-testing difficulty and the expensive filmic sheen of something like God of War. As I sprint through Wukong's dense jungle, ducking and dodging through a deadly array of flora and fauna, I come face to face with everything from gi-wearing toads to nightmarish gigantic-headed infants. Unlike...
This sounds so freaking awesome! Damn! And it's so fucked up and just beautiful. Beautifully.
Many of its brutally challenging From Software-inspired peers, the difficulty in Wukong feels expertly judged. My simian avatar met a grisly end more times than I care to admit, but I persevered. Eventually...
Yes, and this is the thing. Souls games equal persevere. Just do it again. Try until you make it. This is the Souls game experience. And I'm gonna just chime in a bit right now. If you make it too easy, then it's worthless. That's why people are defending the freaking don't put an easy mode in it, because then it loses its worth. And I agree. You can play other games. That's not a problem. If you wanna see and look at Souls games, watch YouTube. It's fine. Nobody's gonna judge you for that. But don't take away the freaking good feeling of actually overcoming your weaknesses and just effing up the game. Just going around and actually mastering it. Damn. Love it. I love the feeling after defeating a boss.
Actually, I defeated enough foes to unlock new abilities. Soon, I can perch atop my staff mid-attack, giving me an edge against its murderous mythological monsters. I can buzz around the forest as a stealthy cicada, summon flames from my glaive, and eventually topple a snarly, lorry-sized werewolf atop a crumbling temple. We're Under Great Pressure reflects one of Game Science's co-founders, who was introduced only as Ted. Game Science wouldn't give his full name via translator. This is the first time we have worked on a PC and console.
This is so freaking cool stuff. Can you see this shit? It's beautiful.
Game, and we are also a new studio. So we really like to think how tolerant the players and the market is towards us. Their excitement encourages us.
And it is because gamers, as well, toxic as we can be sometimes, but the tolerance of something we love, we go up and above to actually buff it, like to get it to give it the benefit of a doubt. It's just
However, the thinking of Chinese people tends to be, we look at the risks. And therefore, when we're faced with such great encouragement, the best thing we can do is to try our best to satisfy the expectations of the players and communicate with the players in a very honest way. China has dominated the mobile gaming market. You look at everything that HoYoverse has done, from Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Impact 3rd. These games have made a lot of money. They have a lot of players. And what they've done is they've actually paved the way for Chinese developers to be able to reach global markets, something that was relatively inaccessible for them in the past. And in that, I'm actually kind of surprised that we're not seeing more skepticism when it comes to a new studio that hasn't released a game before, that's releasing a AAA game that looks as good as this does, and it's coming from a country that we normally don't see a lot of games come from in the first place. But I think it's great that we are seeing that support, because from my perspective, I just want to see more video games, and the more countries that are out there that are making them, the more diverse ideas and cool games that we can play, and that's what I'm all about. And to be honest, we haven't really even seen that many AAA games come from China in the first place. I think the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is like Rock of Blade Point. That's pretty much about it.
Yeah, and by the way, because yes, you're thinking correctly about it, but at the end of the day, they just built up so much good faith that I truly, truly think that they will just make a good game. And this is all people want.
But one of the things the developers brought up was that they feel like they're under a lot of pressure, and I don't think people really understand or recognize just how much pressure that they're under.
Yeah, they are.
Keep in mind, they have far more rules and restrictions that they need to follow before they can even try to ship a game outside of their country. And way more restrictions than Western studios have, that's for sure. But with that said, you also have, clashes in culture and things like that. And I think what they've chose to do, especially with Black Myth Wukong, is just, emulate the success of another game and try to adapt their ideologies or their philosophies of game design into their game. And that's what Black Myth Wukong kind of represents to me. It's a smart idea. You're going to be able to hook up with a pretty large audience because a lot of people really like Souls games, especially after Elden Ring. So it's a great idea to be able to reach as many players as you possibly can. But one of the other difficulties that they're running into is one that's completely unnecessary. And it's the fact that for some odd reason, there are a lot of Western critics that do not want to see this game get any level of success.
Yes, of course not, because they are freaks. They're just freaks that have a certain belief, and this Chinese studio just says, no. We want to do a good game. Not follow your belief system. We don't give a fuck about it. We just want to bring out a good game. What's the problem here? Yes, and because they aren't in the sect, they aren't in the know, they aren't in the... they're not working together with the freaks. They're just doing their things. The freaks actually just get freaking scared of that. Because they are defending themselves. They are saying, no, I don't give a fuck. And the freaks just get scared about it. It's simple as that.
Tom continues with his article saying, I am unfortunately met with very little honest communication when I bring up a report from IGN, which related alleged sexist comments from multiple developers at Game Science, as well as those in leadership roles. I presented Ted with the opportunity to address those claims of misogynistic posts and whether he feels they represent games.
Yeah, IGN. Most unbiased thing in the world, I guess. No. Good they didn't. Good they didn't give them even a chance. Normally, I would say stand your ground and speak out loud, but in this case, no. Those people, the IGN people, are just... They are way above your league in that. They know how to manipulate a crowd. They know how to just get your words twisted. They know everything. They are in this game for way longer than the Wukong guys, probably. So I am happy they didn't take the bait.
Science's values. Instead, I am shut down with a hasty no comment from their UK PR representative, and then, after a long wait, given a longer statement of no comment.
Yep. And I'm gonna be honest, bravo for that. Bravo, excellent, good. No comment, F off, you're not getting the drama. Wukong, I love those people even more right now.
Comment via Ted's translator. I am then told that Game Science's US PR agency will follow up later with a prepared statement, only to be sent the following. Game Science is focused on the demo at this time and will...
Perfect.
only answer questions related to gameplay. The same thing happened to an IGN reporter at a demo in Los Angeles last month. It is disappointing that Game Science is opting to invite journalists to speak to them and play the game, but refusing to answer their questions. Perhaps there is no reassurance to offer. A generous reading of the situation would be that this is an inexperienced studio petrified of saying the wrong thing. Yet, in failing to say anything at all, Game Science is also failing to distance itself and its game from multiple crude, disparaging, and misogynistic comments attributed to its employees and leadership. Journey to the West, of course, is no stranger to the world of video games, from Ninja Theory's 2010 Alex Garland penned and Andy Serkis starring Xbox 360.
And by the way, they dodge those misogynistic comments, this toxicity, by just not interacting with you. Smart people. They're very smart.
Adaptation Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, to Akira Toriyama's world-conquering Dragon Ball, it's a world of myth and monkeys that lends itself perfectly to gaming. Black Myth Wukong's stunning visuals, cinematic beauty, and refreshing sense of speed could well make it the best playable adaptation of the fable to date. But the unreserved excitement I would otherwise feel about it is being trampled by the elephant in the room. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you, I cannot believe that they wrote this. The elephant in the room, huh? I would imagine the elephant in the room is the fact that the report from IGN was found to be heavily mistranslated and misrepresented, spreading misinformation about a studio either by the way of IGN's ignorance or their malice. The report that they mention is something that was parroted by almost every other gaming news site. Headlines with this narrative ran wild since the reveal of Black Myth Wukong's trailer a few years ago, making sure that players know, yeah, the game looks cool, but guys, this is a very bad developer. This misrepresentation even led to Game Science's studio allegedly being vandalized by the people that were claiming to do it based on that news of the studio's quote-unquote sexist culture. Eventually, through social media, readers and...
Yeah, and that's what happens. And the thing is, they are still better off just saying to the freaks F off than actually kneeling down to them. Because this shit would still happen. It's not even something special, yes. This is the reaction if you just defend yourselves. Over a long period of time, they will get actually something positive out of it. But right now, yes, there will be freaks that go out and just vandalize everything. And then pretend they are the good guys because the Black Myth Wukong people are presumably racist. God damn it, man. Legendary drops. Come on. Say, like, are you really just spitting out neutral? Like, you have to know that it's wrong. Okay, good. It's fine.
Critics pointed out the mistranslations. Hell, Asmongold's editor, Clip's editor, did a better job of reporting and investigating, showing all of the mistranslations.
Context. IGN published an article trying to smear the company and the devs behind Black Myth Wukong as some sexist freaks because of some of their employees' social media posts. The article cites one of their artists who basically did the still wood meme about this monster. The problem is that this game journalist, either by sheer incompetence or malice, translated these posts in the most uncharitable way possible. And this is nothing compared to the most egregious mistranslation after one of the game company founders posted this in 2020, apologizing for the lackluster trailer of Black Myth Wukong just released. Now, how on earth do you get?
I want to expand my circle and hire more people. Get licked until I can't get an erection.
In reality, the actual translation
I like this guy.
Completely changes the meaning of what he was saying. Not satisfied, I went back checking if anyone called this out when it happened, and they did.
And ultimately, this all led to the original writer of the IGN report giving a backhanded non-apology, avoiding the conversation of mistranslation, still perpetuating the lie, and upset over Game Science's lack of response, and that the game, with a Monkey King and a bunch of anthropomorphic characters, doesn't have enough femme-coded characters. I am beyond myself. The gall to come forward and say something like, maybe they don't want to say anything because they're afraid to say the wrong thing. What exactly is the wrong thing? Because apparently you already think they said it to begin with, even though it was all mistranslated and misrepresented in the first place. Sure, they may have said some crude things, but you don't understand their culture or the intricacies of their language and how they use colloquialisms and things like that. So you're just applying what you believe onto what they are saying.
So basically worthless. Well, basically worthless stuff. If you don't even understand it, yeah, it's It's irrelevant. It's just irrelevant what you're saying. I mean, you can think it, but it's still a time waste.
I'm appalled. It's just ridiculous is what it is. I'm shocked. I don't even really know how to respond to something like this. I think that Western critics and game journalists, not all of them, but some of them, view these Chinese-made games and games made in some other countries as a threat. Because these are studios that will not fall in line with whatever their narrative is, even if they are in the wrong. Because there are times, and there have been times in the past, where the media was wrong about something, but still wanted and still pressured the studios to do something and say something that otherwise went against it. And that's exactly what they're trying to do now. Still running with the exact same narrative, even though it's already been disproven. What is the point of that? Because now what they want is that even though it's been disproven, well, we still want you to tell us that you like women. What are you doing? What is the point of this? And even more so when you're putting out an article talking about the overall feeling of the game, how much you enjoyed the game, and then you have to put something like that in there. Like, we don't know what you're trying to do. Trying to spin a narrative around this game to make it feel like, man, you should probably feel bad about playing this game, guys. You should feel bad about it. They're bad people over there. They say mean things on the internet. They say crude things on the internet. How dare they? I think the worst thing possible out of all the things that they said was there was an image of like a snake woman, like a lady that was like, her head was a regular person, but her body was like a snake. It was some like horror creature. And they were like, still would. Are you serious? What, like they're not allowed to be human and take part in meme culture? Are you serious? What is this? What, like, this like thought policing and I don't know, man. Like, I'm so happy that their position was, we're working on the demo right now, and that's the only thing that we want to talk about. Because at the end of...
I agree with you. Mwah! Yes. This is the thing. I am also quite happy. I really wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. On point. Thank you. Thank you.
The day, that's the only thing that actually matters. The game matters. What they do outside of that has no impact whatsoever on what consumers actually care about in the first place. Some of these some of these journalists and games media heads wonder why they're losing subscribers, want to know why they're losing readers. Well, it's probably because of the fact you keep putting things in your articles and in these discussions that don't belong there in the first place. I originally...
Nah, this can't. This cannot be. I mean, they are never fault for them saying something bad. It's always the fault of somebody else, not you yourself. No. The perfect human being here. Like, there is never, like, how can somebody be at fault for their own actions? No, this doesn't happen. It's everyone else's fault.
Went to go and read that article because it was talking about their first impressions, and I was just trying to gather a bunch of people's first impressions on the game, and then all of a sudden you want to go off on this tangent on something that was already disproven in the first place? What are we doing? What is this? You know, this isn't the first time we've seen this. The Wizard game. Yeah, that's right.
Every time I see it, I almost have to puke. Because this was one of the most disgusting things I ever seen. And people were just like buttering themselves up because they were the guys that actually did the Wizard game like something bad. And they just, oh yeah, I liked it. Like, I am such a good person just because I was toxic to someone who didn't deserve it. Damn.
Its legacy. Game critics and journalists dogpiled this game as hard as they could. Wired.com gave it a 1 out of 10, not because of the gameplay, not because of the aesthetics, but because of the fact that J.K. Rowling had something to do with it, even though they're just the creator of the source material and actually had nothing to do with the actual creation of the video game, but that didn't matter. Meanwhile, a slew of other reviewers boycotted even reviewing the game in the first place. Some magazines didn't even post reviews whatsoever, and many of those that did actually review it still made sure to drop a little piece of their mind about J.K. Rowling in the reviews. What are the chances that we see the same thing with Black Myth Wukong? Is it going to suffer the same fate? Regardless of how many people tried to derail Hogwarts Legacy, it ended up being the first title in 15 years.
Yeah, he did it at Abracadabra. I was actually quite surprised he didn't make it earlier, but also on the other hand, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, those 3 spells, best spells in the freaking game.
To beat Call of Duty in sales, selling 23 million copies in 2023, proving that social issues have no impact whatsoever on what games players want to play and what they want to buy. Hell, back when Activision Blizzard went through their major controversy, the players that were leaving the game weren't leaving because of what happened at the company. They were quitting because the game sucked. And as soon as they came out with a new expansion, the vast majority of the players returned to the game. I think that there are those in media today that are afraid of losing influence, afraid of games, studios, and publishers that they can't pressure in some way, shape, or form. If the readers aren't listening and the game makers don't listen either, then their relevance is nothing more than a flickering candle in the wind and they're running out of wick. There is no verifiable proof of Game Science mistreating their employees, and the only thing that you have to go off of are some jokes that they have made on the internet that any other human would make, things that you see all of the time, creating victims out of thin air. What's probably worse for them is the truth that they're coming to realize. Customers only care about the value of the product itself and not how it was made or who it was made by. Catering to these niche audiences who actually do buy things based on morals is useless because likely they don't even exist in the first place, and even if they did, they probably don't even play video games. This is only another factor that devalues the perspective and the voice of traditional games media and reviewers. And I know that there are good professional journalists and reviewers that are out there, but I wish that they were calling this kind of stuff out, especially the writer from IGN and The Guardian, because this is only serving to damage their credibility and the credibility of all games media. The lack of independent thought and reasoning within games media today is staggering. It just blows my mind. At this point, I cannot wait for Black Myth Wukong to come out, not because I can't wait to play it, which obviously I can't wait to play it, but just to see the hot takes. Because you know for a fact, because for how long some of these different articles, journalists, and media sites have been running this headline and running with this narrative, you know they're going to be including that stuff going forward.
Yep.
Still trying to ask and find out. Yeah, but you still didn't say that, you know, it doesn't reflect on your studio or anything like that. What does that even matter? Like, they haven't made a joke or a crude joke or anything like that in the past. It's so disingenuous. And that's one of the reasons why the vast majority of people have just completely turned off of reading articles or IGN or any of these companies anymore, is because it's so disingenuous. It's so fake. It's so fake. You don't care about any of these things. You're just searching for a headline that you hope will get.
True. So effing true. Yes. Just a short yes. I mean, does somebody actually disagree with this? Because I don't think so. That's obvious.
Get clicks. That's all it is. Everybody can see it. Everybody knows it. Most of this stuff now, you're just making it up out of thin air. It's just even worse. Because now it's not only that, you know, we didn't find you entertaining, right? So we stopped reading because of that. But now we can't even trust the words that you say because you're just going to say whatever you want to hopefully try to get somebody to look at what you're saying.
Yep.
What's funny is, and I should have brought this up, I might end up making another video about this, but recently I just saw that PC Gamer put out a article talking about putting community notes on YouTube videos and how this games writer was talking about how, you know, how much YouTubers like to lie. Pot calling the kettle black. Meanwhile, none of these journalists seem to hold each other accountable. You guys ever notice that? You see YouTubers all the time. They'll go back and forth. Somebody will say something, they'll hold them honest, they'll make videos on it, obviously they can farm it, but you don't often see any of these games journalists ever going after one another for anything. Somebody writes a bad article or they lie about something or misrepresent something, nobody wants to talk about it. At least not on the professional side. I mean, they could call that professionalism. I could call it dishonest. Anyway, I'm looking forward to Black Myth.
Yeah. And he ended it, or I'm ending it, on this particularly nice, well, put thing giddy bob of his. But as it is, acolytes, good night.